everybody. Welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com. Happy Thursday morning, and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Podcast. I'm Eric, here with AJ in Austin, Texas. This is episode number 202 for January 18th, 2018.
In frigid Austin, Texas.
Below zero Austin, Texas.
I just earlier when you were reading that, I was envisioning, here in sunny Austin, Texas, and it's like bullshit. It's, there's ice on the ground.
That's what I signed up for, was nice weather, but it seems to be on the way. I think next weekend is going to
I think we'll be back in the 60s in no time, which is a pretty quick bounce back.
All right, so we've got a great show today. We're going to be talking about a breakdown of the benefits for some of the high annual fee cards offered by Amex, Chase, and Citi. We've gotten a lot of questions about this. Which card makes the most sense for which situation? Does it ever make sense to have more than one of these high annual fee cards? So we're going to talk about that in the core content. And we've also got some news and updates. Somewhat of a slow news week this week, but a couple of deals that are worth talking about. And so let's get started.
All right, let's get the news started with some news from Hilton Honors. They've got some program changes for 2018 here, and we're going to be a little bit more in depth with this because there is automatic gold status earned from the Amex Platinum card, which we're going to talk about later, so it's kind of thematic. So to get started with the 2018 changes, those with gold and diamond status will get free breakfast at Waldorf Astoria hotels. So that's a nice perk. I mean, I don't know how many people out there are going to be... But it's
they don't have a ton of properties. Like there's not a huge number of those hotels in the portfolio, but generally the Hilton properties, like we did that. We did the club level access thanks to gold status when we were in. I think it was the Conrad.
The Hilton Conrad. Yeah, that was nice.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like if you have gold or diamond status, and the hotel has a club level, you get access to that, which usually has free beer and wine and a pretty nice selection of food. And then gold and above also get free breakfast, which at some locations is going to be like a continental breakfast. I think that's the case with the Waldorf Astoria hotels.
Generally, I believe so. I think that's and we've got a blog post that we'll link you to in the show notes from Frequent Miler. It's got a pretty comprehensive write up of this. Another thing is there's new bonuses. So there's a 40, a 60, and a 100 night bonus. It was kind of confusing when you're actually reading the language, but the way the bonuses work is after 40 nights, you're going to be eligible for these bonuses of 10,000 points for 10 nights.
Yep.
And then once you get to 60 nights, there is a 30,000 point bonus, and you also get to gift gold status to a friend. And then at 100 nights, I believe you can gift diamond status to a friend, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, I can't imagine anyone that would get that. That's not a business traveler. That's just, the road warrior always on the road, but that's kind of nice. And then another major change is the earning options are going to be simplified much more, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it's whatever. Previously, you could earn Hilton points or airline miles or more Hilton points. There's different options to earn, and now it's pretty straightforward depending on your status or lack thereof, where if you are somebody of no status, which I think is like the blue level or whatever they call it, you're going to get 10x points, silver is 12x, gold is 18x, and diamond is 20x. So the folks that don't have status are going to earn a little bit less. I think gold is actually the only real statistical winner. You'll earn a little bit more with gold status.
Which is good for platinum folks. I mean, I always used to earn airline miles with Hilton stays. So I definitely valued that because, for the most part, I try and earn as many airline points as possible and just pay for hotel stays. I think it seems like with these changes, for folks that are earning status the hard way, this is where most of the benefits. It seems like there's actually quite a bit of earning incentive for folks that are in the 40 or more nights a year with Hilton. Yeah. So it's great news for those folks. But like we said at the beginning, for the folks that have Hilton Gold through the Amex Platinum card, another place to get free breakfast and a little bit of extra earning. I think it's pretty limited the upgrade on that.
Yeah, and one thing I had left out was elite rollover night. So if you go above the cap or whatever your target is, those will get rolled over to the next year, which is pretty nice. It was reasonable.
You earned them.
Yeah.
You should be able to keep them, you'd think. All right, so next up, we've got an SPG promo that I found really interesting. This is not going to be helpful for everybody because it is limited to stays in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. But MasterCard, if you pay with a MasterCard, this promo allows you to either buy 2 nights or 3 nights and get 1 night free, or buy 4 nights and get 2 nights free. So in other words, you'd need a 6-night stay to be able to take advantage of that, but you only pay for 4 of them. And so the terms here for this are, it's available for stays through the end of 2018.
That is, I mean, that stands out to me. That is really surprising. Like, you really have enough time to line this up and get yourself a good deal.
Right. I mean, even if you don't even have plans to go to Europe, Africa, or the Middle East, you might by the time the end of the year rolls around. So this is one to definitely keep in mind. So in the show notes, we've got one link that just kind of breaks down the promo, explains some of the stuff we're going to run you through now. We've also got the direct link where you can search for hotel stays. I guess one caveat for this promotion in general is that although you are getting some free nights, it seems like the prices for the rooms is not necessarily going to be the best possible price that you could find anywhere online. So you don't want to necessarily think of this as like a true buy 2 nights, get one
kind of
free.
like the shopping portal approach. If there's some crazy bonus, earn 15x points on your shopping portal, like, make sure you're not going to buy $1,000 TV for $1,500. Like,
Right.
do a little bit of math there and make sure that it's comparable.
The other thing about this promo is that you can stack it with the City Prestige benefit if you're staying 6 nights or more. So as a quick refresher, and again, we're going to talk about the Prestige card later in the show, but the City card, if you buy a 4-night stay and when you pay for it, either at the time you check in or for prepaid stays, the City Prestige card, when you use that card to pay for the hotel stay, they will refund the 4th night. So essentially, you stay 4 nights, you get City to cover the 4th night. And so that, if you do this in combination with the MasterCard promo, Prestige card is a MasterCard. Yeah. So if you got a 6-night stay that's in Europe, Africa, or the Middle East, you could end up paying for only 3 nights of that. And so that could be a really nice deal.
That's a huge deal. I'm just thinking, like, how much more affordable a 1-week Europe jaunt is with points and miles and that. I mean, you think about, okay, well, flights and then hotels, but we do miles. So, hey, we've got the flight taken care of, but hotels are expensive in Europe. But now we're only talking about actually being out of pocket for a few nights and you can stay almost a week. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm going to look into that because I don't know enough about, like, the properties. I mean, I know I like SPG properties, but I don't know nearly enough about the cities I would like to visit in Europe, potentially in the summer or in autumn or the end of the year. Because, I don't know, that's really cool that it goes through the end of the year as well.
One other link that we'll include just to make everybody's life easier, including yours, AJ, is the complete map of SPG hotels. Thanks to Travel is Free. So this has just got all of the properties located on like a Google generated map, so you can scan around the city.
I have looked at that before. That is a nice tool.
Super helpful. And we've also got links for Hotel Hustle, which we've talked about in the past. That just kind of tells you what hotels are actually available for stays with points, so that can cut some time off of your search as well. That may not necessarily coincide with this offer because this is a paid promotion, so you're buying hotels versus using points. But using those tools, you can see what hotels are in the area and kind of decide whether it might make sense to redeem points. If you're going to stay 4 or more nights, though, it seems like this could be a really good option.
Yeah, man, not to drag this out any longer than it needs to be, but MasterCard, it's kind of rare to see them doing a promotion like this. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like what's in it for them? I didn't know that, like, consumers were generally loyal to MasterCard or to Visa. Like, it seems kind of like a non-factor where, like, at least in our world, we're thinking about Citi, Amex, Chase, right. Barclays, not the...
Yeah, I guess, for them, if somebody is considering maybe using the Chase Sapphire Reserve,
they make a little bit of money when you use their card, but I'm just curious from their...
But they don't get a whole free hotel night worth of money. Yeah. So anyways, interesting promo. All the links are in the show notes. Next up, we got this United offer.
Yeah, and this is on theme with the show today for premium cards. So the United Club card has a targeted offer that's pretty interesting. So to set the stage here, normally this card has a $450 annual fee that is not waived the first year. However, some people are being targeted with an offer that the fee is waived the first year.
Yours truly.
Yes, and yeah, Eric was targeted for this. So the bad news about that is there's no sign up bonus. So you really have two options. It's gonna be $450 that you're gonna have to pay for this card, and then you'll get 50,000 points after $3,000 in spend. Or if you're going after this card just for the benefits, if you're targeted, you can take an option where you'll earn no points, but you have the annual fee waived the first year, and you get essentially 364 days of free benefits with this card. Which is pretty nice.
Yeah, I think, I guess the main thing, so it bothers me that you don't get the 50,000 points. I mean, this would be a hands down just amazing deal if you also still got those bonus points. But typically this 50,000 point offer that's available right now is not a normal thing for this card. I would say for like 9 or 10 months out of 2017, there was no bonus for this card. So it's just sign up, pay the annual fee, get the lounge access. That's how it works. I guess as far as a point of comparison, if you really want United Club access, I think to buy club access is $550. So this is actually a discount, and you get some additional benefits with the card. Don't really know how broadly targeted this is, but I feel like I rarely get targeted for things. So since I'm included,
I'm surprised you're not on the blacklist from.
They probably know who I am.
Just really quick, some benefits for that card. You get 1.5 points per dollar spent. No close-in booking fee, which is like, I think for us that probably means a little bit more than a lot of people that plan travel a little bit more than we do, but that's pretty cool. And you get some better availability also.
Yes. And I'm assuming that that's the same extra availability that you get with the Mileage Plus Explorer card, which is the $95 fee version of this card. That does truly make a difference. Now, I have no idea if the club card has even more extra availability than the lower fee card.
So does that mean United has 3 tiers for availability?
I think they have 2. I think it's the same for this card and the Mileage Plus Explorer.
I don't know why I thought if you were logged into your Mileage Plus account, you would see potentially availability that you would not see if you were not logged in.
So I think that's only if you have the card. So that's how they know you have the card.
Okay, that makes
so
sense.
like, for example, when we do booking research for folks that want to use United Miles, one of the things we always ask is, do you have the United Explorer card?
Yeah.
And if they don't, I search without logging in.
Yeah, so you don't get a false positive on it.
Exactly, because I have the card. So if somebody else that we're searching for, I'll log into my account just to do the research. And once I'm logged in, then I see that extra availability.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So anyways, that's kind of the main breakdown with this card. I think if I had the extra $450, that the 50,000 points could pretty easily be turned into at least $450 worth of travel. So if you've got that money up front, it's at least worth considering going for the one that doesn't have the fee waived. But I think overall, this is just nice to have that extra
And if
option.
you're considering getting that card with a fee, you should stay tuned because we are going to do a little bit of a breakdown of these cards. So.
All right, so last news item before we get into the rundown here is the Alaska Mileage Plan 40% bonus. So as with most buy miles deals, this is sort of a situation where it could only be beneficial for a small group of people. So this is not something that you should run out and go buy a bunch of Alaska Mileage Plan miles. But the big benefit here, so the 40% bonus comes out to roughly 2.11 cents per point to buy miles, which for the most part, you should be able to redeem Alaska miles at a better rate than that. But you want to buy miles at the time that you're ready to book the ticket.
Right.
So I believe this deal is going through February 7th. So you've got a little bit of time to think this over. And you do need to have an Alaska account that's been open for 10 days. So if you think you might take advantage, you should create an Alaska account now if you don't have one. Overall, I see the big benefit here being for some sort of one-way itinerary in business class. And the main reason there is that Alaska is one of the few programs that allows you to book a one-way with a stopover. So this is something where you could fly, let's say, from New York to Tokyo. Alaska's got great partners. They're partners with Japan Airlines. So you could fly a really nice business class product there, have a nice long stop in Tokyo, and then continue on to Southeast Asia or some other part of the world and just pay one ticket price in miles.
Yeah, that's great.
Other things to note is that your SPG points also transfer to Alaska. So before you go buy miles, you might just kind of consider if you want to top up with some SPG points so that you don't have to buy quite as many miles. And for this, the threshold, the post that we're linking to says that you have to buy 20,000 miles. But I think this depends on what you're targeted for, because I actually saw the the 40% bonus post for a purchase of at least 15,000 miles. So a little bit less from.
And to do the math for you guys, if you bought 15,000, that'd be about $440, and you would get 21,000. So
yep. And I think the max you can buy in a single transaction is 60, which gets you like 84,000 points. So that's enough for a one-way.
There's not a limit on you can do multiple transactions. Though,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, you can. I guess the downside is like a chunk of that money is a like processing fee. Yeah. And so they make you do multiple transactions because they make more money.
Yeah.
Big surprise. Sense. All right, so let's get to the rundown. These are news items that probably aren't worth going into a ton of detail on, but we're going to have them in the show notes. So if one of them sounds interesting to you or might apply to upcoming travel, you can check it out. First up is the SPG Winter Double Points promo. You need to register for this by March 31st at the latest, but you also have to register before any stays that you want to get the credit, and it runs for stays from today through April 15th. This could also be combined with the deal we talked about earlier for travel for hotel stays in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. So a little bonus for SPG.
Yeah, very similar to SPG. Marriott has a winter bonus up to 3,000 points per stay. Like I said, it's pretty similar to SPG. Same dates, same registration deadline.
All right. 40% off silver car rentals of 5 days or more. This one, you just need to use the promo code WEEKLY. And so just head to the Silver Car website. Silver Car is the rental company that does Audis. Yeah, just
based in Austin.
Audis. I didn't know that.
I think they got bought for like a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of money.
I've never rented from them, but I really like to. I don't think it's that much more expensive than other companies, especially if you get 40% off. That's a bad deal.
Next up, this is, I think, maybe the highlight of the rundown. You can redeem IHG points and your free night certificate at Kimpton Hotel. So these are higher end hotels, so it's going to probably cost you a bunch of points. But the good news is that free night certificate, this is like the exact type of situation that you'd want to use your free night to get that super expensive hotel had you paid like everyone else with cash to use your benefit.
Yeah, IHG card, what a gem, man. $45 annual fee.
For a free night.
One free night a year. Like, there aren't any hotels, that cost less than $45 a night unless you're in Southeast Asia. So you're already covering it there. You also get a 10% points rebate on the IHG card. But anyways, you don't need to have the IHG card to use points at Kimpton Properties, but the free night certificate is going to be the big win for that one. And then last up, we've got a link to the Etihad guest devaluation. This is already a done deal. I think we reported on this a few months back. It's honestly not a very big deal overall because the best way to redeem for Etihad flights is going to be American Airlines miles. They've got a much better award chart and the taxes and fees are lower, but this is in relation to Etihad miles. So and Etihad is a transfer partner of Citi and SPG, and I believe Amex as well. So you can get Etihad points, and they do, I think, have a little bit better award availability for their own flights, but the price of the business and first class ones has just gone up. It's not huge though. It's 5,000 extra points, maybe 10,000 in some cases. But anyways, we got a link to more details if you're interested. All right, so time to get into the core content for today's episode. Now, this was inspired by a couple of different listener questions that we received on the topic of high annual fee cards and trying to make a good educated decision to maximize benefits. Also had one pretty in-depth conversation with one of our concierge members who signed up for our unlimited booking and points and miles service. And so she was trying to figure out whether it made sense to get more than one of these cards and just trying to map out where the benefits overlap and where they don't. And so I thought that this would be information that could potentially be really useful to a lot of listeners who either have one of these cards. There's probably going to be a few benefits that you didn't even know you had. I know that, when I first started looking into this, there were a couple of things that I hadn't registered for, despite the fact that, we study and think about points and miles all day. So we're going to talk about the Amex Platinum. We're going to talk about the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Citi Prestige in quite a bit of detail. And then we've got a couple of other high fee cards that have kind of select uses.
With United, well, let's get things started with the Amex Platinum card. So I'm going to break down the personal card and the business card, the current offers, and just a quick overview. So personal card has a $550 annual fee. The real cost of the benefits is about $150 when you account for some of the benefits you get. And the current offer is 60,000 points after 5K in spend, your general 90 days. As far as the business card goes, $450 annual fee. Cost of benefits is a little bit more expensive at $250. And the current offer is 50,000 points after 10K in spend in 90 days. And then you can get another 25,000 points after 20,000 total spend in 90 days.
Think they're going for the high end of the market there?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit different than the other business cards.
So one other thing before we move on to the benefits, as far as these offers, we get a ton of questions all the time about whether there is a targeted 100K offer, higher offer out there.
Yeah.
They do happen from time to time, but there hasn't been anything, at least not that we're aware of, as far as targeted offers for more than the two bonuses that we just mentioned. Definitely the business card at times offers 50 or 75,000 points with less spend tied to it. So if the spend is an issue, you may sit on that one and wait for a little bit. But overall, these cards can potentially really pay off in terms of the benefits.
The personal card, I would say I would consider that offer strong because that's the homeostasis is like 40,000. That's kind of where it hangs out.
Yep, that's a good point. Typically, it's closer to 40, so this is a better than normal offer, albeit with a little bit higher spend. But 5,000 is within range for a lot of people. So. All right, so let's start out. We've got some car rental benefits.
Yeah, so Hertz Gold got a little bit of a discount, and you get upgrades, 4-hour grace period on returns in the U.S., bypass the counter on picking up a car, 10% bonus on points earned with Hertz, which is nice. You get National Emerald Club. That's where you just pick any card. That's we did that in New York. That was really, really nice. Guaranteed.
What did we pick? We picked a Jetta, didn't we, or some sort of Volkswagen? I think.
I think we did pick a Volkswagen, and you were definitely driving it like a sports car, getting us out of the city. So you get a guaranteed car upgrade. There's no second driver fee, which is kind of nice. I'm guessing a lot of people don't really go through the hassle, but it's probably best to make sure you're covered if you're gonna have multiple people driving a rental car because.
That pretty sure that a nasty situation if something bad happens and the car gets messed up, your insurance isn't going to cover you. Well, that was really critical for our trip. So we drove from New York to Flint, Michigan, which is about a 12-hour drive. So that's not one that you want to just have one driver.
Right.
And typically, adding a second driver will cost you anywhere from $10 to $20 a day. So that can really add up. That's a nice benefit there.
And then finally, there's Avis Preferred. So you get a 1-car class upgrade, and you get 15% off the published rate. So these are all things that add up. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I've used all of these on a couple of different occasions. The nice thing about having all three of them is like the car upgrade is by far my favorite. That comes with all three of these. So you can typically get a compact and get a regular car, or a mid-size and get a full size. A lot of times I've noticed that I get upgraded multiple classes because they just don't have the next particular car that's available. So that one can pay off even more. The discount does help as well. Like a lot of times it's better than the cheapest rate that you can find on any of the online travel agencies.
One thing I just realized, just looking at my notes, that could have been confusing for the listeners is when we're talking about pick any car, it doesn't mean you get to select any car that's possible. But you get to you're on the lot and you just get to look at the cars and say, I want that one.
Yep.
And then you just take it.
And it's also, so I think the other thing that for me has been a huge benefit, Hertz, you get to bypass the counter. So there was at least one situation where I was arrived from a super long haul flight, was really jet lagged and tired. And there was a line of 15 people. Yeah. And if you have the Platinum card, you get the status where you just skip the line and walk up and they give you an envelope, and that's all you got to do. You show them your driver's license, they give you the envelope with your car keys, and you go. With the National, you just kind of walk out and they say any car in this row, whatever you like, and the car's in the ignition. So it can save you some time, can save you a little bit of money, and get you a better car with a little bit more space for luggage. Yeah. That did come back to bite me in Barcelona though, because they upgraded me to this SUV
that's right. And
that I could not parallel park anywhere. There's just no space for that car. So anyways, those are the car rental benefits. And that's one of the things that's very unique about the Platinum card. At least as far as I know, there are no elite status benefits that go along with car rental. Next up, we've got lounge access. So the Amex Platinum cards give you access to the Centurion Club lounges. I think there's now 7 or 8 of those. So there's a bunch of U.S. airports. These lounges are just a
New York, Miami, Vegas, Dallas, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is a new one. Seattle's one. Houston.
Houston, not Dallas.
Both.
Or both, okay.
Yeah, both of them.
All right.
The interesting thing, so in New York, it's at LaGuardia, which can be a pain for folks connecting to international travel. That's generally going to be out of JFK. But they just announced, I don't think this is going to be live or open until 2019, but they just announced the JFK Centurion Lounge is being built, and it's going to be the largest one at any U.S. airport.
Wow.
So it's a
Nice.
2-story guy, going to be large and in charge. So I think, I mean, hands down, the Centurion lounges are just by far the best lounges that are available in the U.S., with maybe a couple of exceptions of like, let's call it international airlines that have nicer lounges than us
pretty much.
anyways. Like,
The thing I like about the Centurion Lounge is it's unbelievably consistent.
Yeah.
Like there are always good drinks. There's always good service, and the food is always good.
The food, and that's rare. Like, you know,
The food is actually
that saves
good.
me money. You know, like you don't have to go pay $12 for a really crappy sandwich at the airport. You get like a hot, nice meal. So that alone is like one reason that I've hung on to the Amex Platinum card, and it's a benefit that obviously doesn't come with any of the other cards because it's an Amex owned lounge. In addition to the Centurion lounges, there's also a lot of international Amex lounges. I don't know how many there are worldwide, but this is outside of the Priority Pass portfolio. But I know, for example, in Brazil, there's a lot of different Amex lounges.
There's actually a really nice one in Buenos Aires. I thought
you told me
at the
about
beginning
that.
I thought it was a Centurion Lounge. I'm like, I didn't know there's a Centurion Lounge here because it looked like a Centurion Lounge. It felt like a Centurion Lounge, but it was just one of the international lounges. But it was really nice. It was an enjoyable experience.
So Amex also has access to Priority Pass, and so Priority Pass has like roughly 1,000 lounges. The big drawback with Priority Pass is there's very few in the U.S. There's maybe 30, maybe 20 or 30 that are in the U.S. So if you consider how many domestic airports there are, it's not going to help you out most places there. But it is expanding, and the Priority Pass now also includes a few restaurants where you get a meal credit.
Right.
We actually, I
Denver.
think it was Recon Scott,
Emailed
us about.
What's that? He had a steak in Denver.
Yeah, like, and I think it's like $30 or so
Yeah,
per,
it's like
per person.
proper credit. You get your meal. That's nice, man. I'm surprised how much I've used the Priority Pass. Just like you said, especially abroad. Generally, at the international airports, there's at least a couple options, if not more. You know, some of the bigger airports, like, I mean, in Paris, I don't know how many options there are, but there's a substantial amount. In Istanbul, I kind of had my choice. I just kind of walked around Lounge Avenue and kind of picked my choice.
Selected. Well, and the other thing is you can go into multiple lounges. So if you go in, it's crowded or they don't have food when you're hungry, you just move on to the next
I did that in São Paulo last time. I went, I forget which lounge. It was across from the Star Alliance Lounge.
Yeah.
It's not as nice, but the Star Alliance Lounge was, I don't know what the deal was there, but ended up double dipping and doing both.
Yeah. So one development that I think this went live at the same time as they changed they added the Uber credit and changed the annual fee. But previously there were no guest access for the Amex Platinum, and they now allow 2 guests for free. And so before, I think it was a $27 charge, which, you know, for me at least was pretty much going to prohibit me from going to lounges if I was traveling with somebody that couldn't come with me. So that's nice. And then last but not least, on the lounge front, we've got Delta lounges. That one is not super attractive anymore to me. They eliminated the guest benefit, so you can't bring a guest, and you also have to be flying Delta. Now, for folks from our home airport in Detroit, you know, like places that Delta has a lot of flights that fly with Delta, it still can be a great benefit.
Yeah,
but
Minneapolis, Detroit, Seattle, Atlanta, those people are probably, happy to have that benefit, but...
But yeah, I think overall the other lounges definitely do more for me than that. But the Amex Platinum covers you in most airports. You're going to be able to find at least one lounge. Austin happens to be one of the ones that can, unfortunately. All right, so last up, we've got a couple of other benefits. Global entry, you get a statement credit every 4 years, and you also get a $200 airline fee credit. Now, we talked at the beginning, you mentioned that the $550 annual fee, you're effectively paying only $150 for all those benefits. And so that depends on, in part, using this $200 airline fee credit. Now, we're going to talk with the other cards. They also have different types of credits like this that are more flexible. So the thing to be aware of with the Amex one is that you only get $200 that is supposed to be for incidental. So things like checked bag fees, award change fees, things like that, not for airfare. And the thing to know is that at least for the last 4 or 5 years, you can actually buy $50 or smaller gift cards with your preferred airline and get that reimbursed as part of the $200 credit.
Right.
But the other big gotcha, and this is important, is that you can't just buy gift cards with any airline. You have to choose one airline that is your airline as far as Amex is concerned.
Because that's how the fee credit works.
That's how the fee credit works. So you need to pick that airline. And it actually does apply to some things that you're going to talk about in a minute with some of the other benefits. One thing I didn't actually even put in our notes, and we already talked about it, so let's just run through these super quick. But you also get Hilton Gold status with the Amex card. As we mentioned, gives you club access, free breakfast in some cases. And you also get gold status with Starwood Preferred Guests, which now, as part of the merger with Marriott, means gold status
cascade
with Marriott. So you've now got 3 hotel elite statuses. The SPG and the Marriott also, I think there's some properties where you can get free food, but it's not quite as good as free breakfast. Like I think that's like a free sandwich or a small credit, at least at many of the properties I've stayed at. But the nice thing with the SPG is the 4 p.m. checkout, which I've used a lot.
That's very nice.
It's only on availability, but I've pretty much never been denied for a late checkout. So that can mean, if you've got a later flight in the afternoon.
I was just going to say, you've got a flight in the night. I mean, it's so annoying if you have to be out by 11. It's like, okay, I guess I'll go somewhere and sit with my bags.
Just hang out in the lobby with your bags. All right, so everything so far has been a benefit of both the personal and the business platinum card, but there are a few benefits that are exclusive to one or the other.
Yeah, so as far as the personal card goes, these things with points earning are unique to the personal card. You get 5x points on flights that you book directly with the airlines or through Amex Travel, and you get 5x on hotels booked through Amex Travel. Now, as far as booking hotels through Amex Travel, if you're somebody that is going to put a lot of importance on elite benefits and elite status, that may not be a good idea because you're not going to get credit for those purchases. But if you're not somebody that cares much about elite status, then that's a pretty nice deal. And there's a couple other things as well. You get a $200 credit for Uber. So this is pretty nice. And the breakdown of this is what? It's $15 a month on Uber you get essentially, and then $35 in December.
Yep. Yeah, you get an extra $20 in December. So every month, and I guess this is just to make it easier for them to collect on that breakage, basically. So if you really need to use Uber regularly to max out this benefit. But if you live in a city that has Uber and you use ride sharing a little bit, this is a no-brainer. This, for me, I maxed it out.
Yeah, when think about the course of a year, I'm going to spend more than $200 on ride share for sure, way more. And then another thing that is nice and once again unique to the personal card is you can add an authorized user for $175
for
up to 3 people.
3 of them.
Up to 3 people. So that's really nice, and we'll get into it, but it's a little bit different from the business card.
Yes, I will give you that counterpoint in just a second. One other thing for those of you that have your own car or don't use Uber is this also applies for Uber Eats. So you can get food delivered to you. That's how I've used the majority of that Amex credit as well. All right, so on to the business card. Like the personal card, you get 5x on flights, but only flights booked through Amex Travel. So it eliminates the ability to book through the airline's website, which I generally find much more convenient than booking through Amex Travel. So that's a benefit, but a little bit watered down. You also get 1.5 points on purchases of $5,000 or more. Now, again, this card is designed for high spenders. You can see that from the fact that to earn the full sign-up bonus, you got to spend $20,000.
Right.
But if you happen to have a business that does make large bulk purchases, maybe for inventory or for supplies.
Exactly. I'm thinking of the e-commerce store owner, that's got to buy inventory.
Exactly. Or somebody that's really churning through ad spend. I could see potentially having each invoice that comes through be 5,000 or more. There are better cards potentially to use on ad spend, but big purchases, 1.5 points, and that's up to 1 million points per year. So you've got
which is a little bit different than from some of the other bonus categories that might be capped at 150K spends of 450,000 points.
Right, exactly. You also get 10 GoGo in-flight Wi-Fi passes per year. Those typically run anywhere from like $15 to $30, depending on how long the flight is.
Yeah, they can be really expensive.
That's a good value. I use that quite a bit when we did have the business version. And then the last thing is a 35% points rebate on bookings through Amex Travel. So the way that this works, it's a little bit confusing. So I'm going to try and simplify and break this down. We talked about earlier that you need to pick an airline that Amex considers your airline. So that's the airline that you've got for the fee credit. Well, if you use points to cover the cost of booking an economy ticket. So let's say I want to book a flight to Brazil. There's no award availability, so I can't transfer my membership rewards, but I really need this flight and I don't want to pay cash. If I use points to book the ticket, and you can do that through Amex Travel, they will give you a rebate of 35% on those points.
Yeah, so let's say Amex Travel says, all right, you want to go to Brazil, that's 100,000 points. Seems kind of intimidating, but the net cost is only 65,000 because you get 35 of those back.
Exactly. So that can make it a really good deal in some situations. Also, it doesn't matter if it is your selected airline if you're looking at business and first class. Now, generally speaking, business and first class is so much more expensive that you really want to use transfer partners and use the membership rewards that way. But we do have a lot of people that have a ton of earning capacity, build up a lot of points, and their travel flexibility is limited, and sometimes blackout dates or whatever, there's just not a way that our booking service can find them a ticket using transfers. And so this takes the edge off a little bit, where if you have to buy
it's a great check down,
an expensive flight, then you can get that 35% points back.
So that does it for the Amex. So we've got the personal and the business card. I guess some couple takeaways would be just knowing that there's a distinction between some of the benefits of the personal card and the business card. They're not all the same. Yeah,
the one other thing that I wanted to mention on this is the authorized user. So
that's right.
With the business card, now you had mentioned, and this is actually why we, as the Abroaders business, switched to the personal card. We've got some of the members of our team that have their authorized user on that. And so we were able to add 3 for $175 a year total. With the business platinum card, authorized users are $300 each. So if you, me, and Jake all wanted to have an Amex Platinum card, we'd have the primary card fee, and then we'd have $600, $300 for each of the authorized users. So that really adds up. It makes the Platinum personal card a much more attractive thing if you're trying to get the benefits for the whole family. Now, as we said, a lot of these benefits, like the Centurion Lounge, you've got the ability to bring in a guest, but that doesn't work if you're not traveling with them. So if the primary card holder isn't going to be traveling, that's where having those authorized users can make a big difference. Same idea with rental cars. If I've got the Platinum card, but you need to rent a car, you need to be an authorized user to get those benefits. So that price difference can make a nice change for you.
Yeah, man. Let's move on to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. It's been around for a little bit more than a year. This card came out with a huge splash, that 100,000 point sign-up bonus that everyone was raving about. So the current offer for the Chase Sapphire Reserve card is 50,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards after $4,000 spent within 90 days. This has a $450 annual fee with a net cost of $150 for the benefits I'm about to overview. And to get started with the benefits, like the Amex Platinum, you get a priority pass. However, you get unlimited guests. So that's a distinguishing factor for this card, is having unlimited guests,
Especially if you have a big family, more than 2 family members travel with you regularly.
Exactly. Global entry every 5 years. And then this next one I really like. You get a $300 travel credit, which is much different from the airline credit on Amex, where you've got to, kind of bob and weave and make sure you do it right. This is almost idiot proof.
Yes.
You get to essentially, with your Chase Sapphire Reserve card, if you spend money on travel, the first $300 you get back. Whether it's Uber, Airbnb, a train. So that's pretty nice. And
I've even got credits for parking before.
I appreciate that they don't get stingy.
There's a broad criteria around that. So that, if you contrast that to, okay, I got to buy Delta gift cards in $50 increments. So I'm going to have to check out 4 times.
And I've got to make sure that I selected Delta,
Yeah. So this is just buy travel stuff. And on top of that, you also get a bonus for travel and restaurants at 3 points per dollar spent.
Yeah, and for anyone out there that their ears perked up when we're talking about ad spend or e-commerce site owners, this is also a pretty good card where you get 3x on digital advertising. So your Facebook ads...
Sorry.
They changed that?
No, it's the Ink Business Preferred.
What the fuck? Oh, man.
Not the Reserve.
Yeah. Total wires crossed. Fuck. Yeah, that's totally right. That's where I was getting the 150, 450. Fuck.
No worries. Let me just... I think actually it'd probably be So
You just said 3x points on travel and restaurants.
yeah, okay. So cut in after I finish saying 3x on travel and restaurants, and I think you just jump to the last benefit, and then we can do a little wrap up before we go to prestige. Okay.
And then finally, there is some insurance that is also another distinguishing factor from the Amex Platinum card, where you get travel delay insurance, up to $500 per traveler after a 6-hour delay. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, and I actually left a few things out of the outline here. So really the overall insurance package with the Reserve card is far and above better than the Amex Platinum. The Amex Platinum has rental insurance, but it's secondary, which means that you have to file a report with your own personal car insurance. So that's a downside there. With the Sapphire Reserve, it's primary coverage, so you don't have to notify anybody that might be raising your rates on you. The other thing, so the delay insurance is probably the most common one that happens, where you see more often that benefit will come into play. But you've got lost luggage insurance, which I'm currently in the process of filing a claim. I will get back to you guys on that. I am still waiting for American Airlines to deny my claim or give me something so that I can take it to Chase and get the rest of the compensation. But you get $3,000 in coverage for bags per traveler. You also get trip cancellation and interruption insurance. So now the delay insurance is like, okay, we're going to fly you out tomorrow. But there's also situations where you potentially booked 2 separate tickets, or let's say you booked a cruise and your flight gets delayed and it interrupts your trip so that you don't arrive in time to get on the boat. That is where having this interruption or cancellation insurance, where you paid for your plane ticket with the Amex card. You paid for it with your Sapphire Reserve card. If you paid for your cruise with the Sapphire Reserve card, and then something happens where your flight doesn't work out and you miss your cruise, then you've got a coverage for a major big ticket item. And that's something that you don't have with the Platinum card.
And I think you bring up a really good point. And this is probably a good opportunity for a public service announcement, where generally speaking, with these cards and these benefits, you need to use the card to get the benefit. You can't just call them up and say, hey, I'm a card holder, so I need this coverage. To say, well, you used the Amex Platinum. I'm not going to help you.
Why do we care? And we'll actually have at least a high-level breakdown of which cards to use in which circumstances at the end here. But I think, overall, the major defining differences to sort of recap between the Sapphire Reserve and the Amex Platinum. And that's why I think that these cards are really good complements rather than substitutes for one another, because overall, you probably want to leverage the elite status with the Amex Platinum. You don't have to use the Amex Platinum card for those benefits. So that's a really nice thing, where you can get the primary rental insurance by paying for your rental with the Sapphire Reserve, but just having the Amex Platinum card gets you the free car upgrade. So that's kind of one counterexample where the Amex benefits for the most part are just having the card. You have the card, you get into the lounge. You have the card, you get the free breakfast. Whereas the Reserve card, you're going to use that card to pay for those things, get the primary rental insurance, get the travel delay, get your bags taken care of. So those are reasons that these cards could actually both make sense if you've got the budget to accommodate the 2 annual fees, knowing that you're going to get a substantial part of those fees back with the benefits. All right, so last up, we're going to dive into the Citi Prestige card. Now, this one has a lot of similarities with the Reserve in terms of how it can be a very good complement to the Amex Platinum card. At the moment, there's no public offer for the Citi Prestige. A little while back, we had a 75,000 point offer. That was pretty exciting. So far, that's, I think, been the best offer on this card, and it's spent a lot of time with no offer. Maybe we saw 50,000 point at one point for a little while. But at the moment, there's nothing. Now, the major distinguishing benefit for the Prestige card is that 4th night free benefit at hotels. So if you find yourself staying for 4 nights or more often, basically your break even on this card is going to be one time at a hotel that costs more than $200 a night, and you're going to break even. So that's sort of your level. And the main reason for that is that the Prestige card also has a fee credit. It's not actually, it's an airfare credit for this one. So you could put this one sort of between the Amex Platinum and the Reserve in terms of ease of use. The credit is $250, and it's for airfare only, but it counts for plane tickets rather than just incidental fees. So in other words, if you spend more than $250 on flights, during the
There
course
you go.
of a year,
You're going to get that money
you're
back.
going to get that money back. And so your effective cost for the Prestige card is going to be $200. So take that $450 and remove the $250. You've got that set aside.
Take advantage of the fourth night free at the hotel, and now you're at about break even. So if you're going to do multiple hotel stays and you don't value any of the other benefits, you're still in the clear.
Yep, exactly. And so on top of the fourth night free, the other benefits that overlap with the two cards that we've already talked about, Priority Pass, City Prestige only allows 2 guests, so not quite as good as the Reserve card, but most people can get by with 2 guests. And then it also has the same types of travel insurance as the Reserve. It does not have primary rental insurance. It does outside the U.S., but not inside the U.S. Personally, I don't like having to deal with even remembering that, so I always use the Reserve card for car rentals. But it does have primary coverage outside the U.S. The travel insurance is pretty similar to the Reserve. The one difference that's significant is that the travel delay insurance kicks in after 3 hours. So if,
right, as opposed to the Reserve 6 hours.
Exactly. So it feels like I've been delayed 3 hours quite a bit. 6 hours is like, that's a real delay.
Yeah.
But 3 hours happens just like sometimes the airlines screw up.
Yeah, I mean, in the past year, I think this happened to me at least a couple times.
Yeah. And so, by the way, like, you know, you probably shouldn't like abuse this privilege, but you get $500 per traveler. Some of these in the terms and conditions break it down to like a max of $100 a day over 5 days for bag delays. And so you got to watch that stuff. But for the delay insurance, if you've got a 3-hour delay with the Prestige card, you get $500 per traveler. So that means you can go get a really nice meal. You can go relax at a hotel, get a shower, like if, you know, especially if there's a hotel that's attached to the airport or nearby.
That's probably not cheap.
So yeah, that's, you know, just a really nice benefit that you can take advantage of with the Prestige card. I think that pretty much covers all the major benefits. So it does have Priority Pass, but no additional lounge access besides that. So the Amex still wins on that front. The fourth night free, we've got a post that we're going to link in the show notes. This applies also to the deal we talked about at the top of the show with the SPG. There are some subtleties about using the fourth night free. The basic breakdown is that you want to book through City's concierge, either by calling them or emailing them, rather than booking at the Thank You Rewards website. And that goes back to what you were talking about earlier, where using City to book your hotel online is going to opt you out of a bunch of elite credit and any benefits that come with any status you have. But the concierge people are actually doing things manually. So you can say, you can use that for like discount codes, like if you have a AAA discount or if you have that promotion that we were talking about earlier, you can email the City Prestige folks and say, hey, I'd like you to apply this discount. These are my dates. This is the hotel, and they'll book it for you. And you can use the fourth night free, but still get advantage where you're going to earn points, get your free breakfast, etc. All right, so that covers the big three.
Yeah, those are the main 3.
Those are the ones that most people are interested in. By far, the best cards in terms of distribution and benefits. I would say for most people, you probably want to look at either picking one, and if you're going to pick just one, your choice really needs to be whether you value the elite benefits and the lounge access part that comes with the Platinum card, or whether you like having the insurance benefits that are better with the Prestige or the Reserve. For many people, I think that you probably want to pick 2. And the Amex Platinum is very different from the other 2. And then based on whether you use the fourth night free, you kind of decide between the Reserve and the Prestige. There are definitely people that travel regularly that can easily get their value back from having all 3 of these cards.
Yeah, totally agreed. I think, the thing there is just kind of do your own math on your situation. Do you have a bunch of travelers and unlimited guests is a deal breaker for you? That's very important for you. Just find your priorities. But I guess those are all very strong offers, and I think those are all very solid cards where it's not difficult to get your money back on the annual fee. Whereas these next cards we're going to talk about, I would say, aren't quite as good. But they, depending on the situation, and we'll kind of lay that out. The first one we've got is the City Executive Advantage World Elite MasterCard, the longest name in the credit card space. So some things about this card is there's no fee for up to 10 authorized users. So that's pretty unique and unusual. So, I guess think a big family that wants to share the travel benefits together or whatever. And the authorized users have access to the Admirals Club. So that's kind of the big thing. If you got a family with a bunch of people, this actually could make a lot of sense if you're hanging out in airports or in airports that have an Admirals Club. And we've actually got a customer that's looking into exploring this option because they've got a big family. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like for us, like the Austin airport's a great example where there aren't any priority pass. There's no Centurion lounge. So none of the other lounge access works. And you either need United or American Airlines. And so this card can get you access to Admirals clubs all around, anywhere they are in the world.
I did not mention this is what, a $450 annual fee, I think.
Yep.
And the current offer it's at $60 along with the City Advantage Platinum Select.
Yeah, we've seen it up at $75 a couple of different occasions. The current offer is $60, I believe, after $3,000 in spend. So pretty attainable. Now the bonus points definitely cover you if you're thinking about the cost of the annual fee. The bonus points should easily be worth that's a round trip flight to Europe, round trip to South America in economy. So you can definitely put those American miles to advantage. If you get this card just for the lounge access, you probably, I think it's a little bit more expensive to buy lounge access anyways for just one person. So if you get this card and you're able to get a couple of authorized users and split that cost with people. Now, you do want to do this with people that you trust because you have to actually give them a card so that they can show that card. So, you don't want to just start looking for people on Craigslist to share the cost of your annual fee on the City Elite MasterCard. But it can be a really good system for you to take advantage of getting lounge access for you and a bunch of other people. The last thing to be aware of with this card is that it does have some credit towards qualification for American Airlines Elite status. So this is based on spending. So if you spend, I'm not sure exactly what the thresholds are, but if you spend a certain amount of money, you're going to get 10,000 elite qualifying miles towards your status. And so this can be a way that just, if you don't quite have enough flying activity throughout the course of the year, that can get you up to the next elite status level. So that's another benefit. That's kind of a typical thing with these co-branded high annual fee cards. But this one is either a card that you grab for the sign-up bonus and for the lounge access, or if you're really those are really the only two main reasons that this could be valuable for most people.
Yeah. And then the other card, which we actually mentioned because of that targeted offer, is the United Mileage Plus Club card. So you get club access for the card holder and you get 2 guests, and then authorized users do not receive club access. So that's not really why you do that, I'm not sure. I guess if you want to have somebody else in your family earning you miles, I don't know how that works, but yeah.
I think this card, to me, the only reason is that if you buy club access anyways, then you should get this card because it's cheaper. It's $550 to buy an annual pass for the United Club, $450 for the card. So might as well grab the card. There is a 50,000 point sign-up bonus or a free year if you're targeted for that. But other than that, authorized users don't get access, so there's no real way to leverage this for lounge access for more than the primary card holder. We're not talking about the Delta Reserve card because it just doesn't seem very beneficial. It's got some similar things where, basically, the nice thing, I guess that puts in context, both the City long name credit card and the United Club card give you lounge access regardless of whether you're flying on that airline the same day. So you need to have a ticket, but you could be flying with United and get into the American Admirals Club with the card. So the Reserve card, similar deal where you get access, but you have to be flying Delta. Might as well, in my opinion, just get the Delta, the Amex Platinum card, which gives you Delta access if you're flying Delta.
Yeah, same thing. Well, to wrap up, you've got some pretty good notes here on what to buy with each card, which I think another way to look at it is just kind of what the strengths of the purchasing are for each card. So
this is the ultimate simplification here, but for car rentals, you want to use the Sapphire Reserve card because of that primary insurance. Outside the U.S., you could use the Prestige, but the Reserve.
Playing with fire there.
Yeah, you just don't want to forget at the wrong time. And I also value Chase points higher than City points. Both of them earn 3x on travel, I believe. So, for this one, Reserve for car rentals. For flights, I would book that with the Prestige card. You're going to get 3x on flights, but you're going to get a bunch of the benefits. The Reserve is a good substitute there if you don't have the Prestige. I would recommend not using the Amex Platinum, with the exception of very expensive flights. The Amex Platinum Personal, 5 points per dollar spent. Great. If you buy a $3,000 business class ticket, you probably, aren't checking, that much luggage that it's worth having the off chance that you get a delay. and get the coverage. So I guess there's cases where the insurance might not be worth foregoing those extra points. I'd take the 15K membership rewards points.
Oh yeah, I'll go unprotected and take the 15K all day.
Yeah, I mean, buy travel insurance for $20 and you're covered. So for expensive flights, consider using the Amex Platinum and supplement yourself with some travel insurance. But other than that, Prestige is the best card for flights, followed by the Reserve. And then for any other travel stuff, this is where the Reserve's $300 credit really shines, and also where that 3x earning is valuable. So anything cruise, train, hotel, tour, stuff like that, that's where you want to use the Reserve card.
Yeah. One final note, if any of you listeners are kind of still wondering which card should I get, we would be happy to tell you. If we were you, this is a card we would get.
Yeah, and I'll put a link in the show notes. We're still offering free consultations, so we're happy to talk to you about your card strategy, your travel plans, and make sure you get something that aligns. And we can also dig into any of these premium cards and see if they might be a good fit based on what you have going on. Last but not least, 2 out of the 3 cards are cards that we get an affiliate commission. So if you're thinking about applying, we'll have links in the show notes where you can support Abroaders, help us keep producing great content. So that's for the Reserve and the Amex Platinum card. At the moment, the Prestige card, also no sign-up bonus for you, so not the best time to sign up, but we'll have a link there if you want to jump on that because of the 4th night free or some of the other benefits. We'll have a link in the show notes for that one as well.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it. You got anything else?
Man, I got nothing else.
Hey, Broaders, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback to Eric or AJ at abroaders.com. We will see you next week.